Welcome back to Birds of a Feather. This is your daily Baltimore sports podcast. My name is Nathan Stroud, and today we're going to be going over the Ravens' first preseason game of the season. Obviously, this is still preseason, but nonetheless, it is NFL football, and it is back and ready to go. And the Ravens' football is back and ready to go. The Ravens played their first preseason game against the Colts, and they went out there and got a nice 24-16 win over the Colts. We're going to be going over the offense, we're going to be going over the defense, we're going to be going over the good, the bad, and everything in between regarding this Ravens and Colts preseason game. And again, I know it is preseason, so some people might not be too excited for the preseason, especially with a team like the Ravens where we don't really play any starters at all compared to other teams that do play starters, but it still is exciting. It still is an organized NFL football game, an organized Ravens game that we can watch, and it was a lot of fun, and it was just really cool again to see a lot of these guys out there dressed up and ready to go. Obviously, guys like Lamar and Derrick Henry, DeAndre Hopkins, Zay Flowers, none of those guys were dressed up and played today. But it was so cool to see rookies like Malachi Starks and LeJohntay Wester and Mike Green and guys like that out there in Ravens uniforms in M&T Bank Stadium, looking good, playing good, and again, the Ravens went out there and got a win. And this is also exciting for this show because this is the first time that I'm going to be recapping and talking about a football game that happened. So far in Birds of a Feather, the first 115 episodes of the show. Obviously, regarding Ravens stuff, we've gone over big free agent stuff. We've gone over, obviously, everything free agency related. We've gone over obviously all the draft stuff as well, and then training camp and all that stuff like that, and any sort of big news we've gone over Ravens related. But a majority of this show so far over the past few months has been heavily Orioles related, because again, I started this show on opening day with the Orioles playing, and we've gone over every single Orioles game. The Orioles did have a day off today. They'll be back tomorrow, but they had a day off today, but the Ravens ended up playing today, so there still is plenty to talk about. And moving forward, anytime there's an Orioles game, I'm still going to go over that. Anytime there's a Ravens game, I'm obviously still going to go over that. But I just wanted to let y'all know kind of what the schedule is going to be. There really is like no schedule. Again, anything Ravens related, I'm going over. Anything Orioles related, I'm going over. And that's just how it is. It's not going to be like, okay, this day I'm going to talk about Ravens, this day I'm going to talk about Orioles. I will talk about both of them in the same episode if need be. But there still will be plenty of Ravens and Orioles content to go around throughout the year. Obviously, with the Ravens season starting in September, with the Orioles season continuing until the end of September. So we're going to be booked. We're going to be absolutely booked. And the Ravens, again, their season starts in September, and the Orioles season is going to end at the end of September. So September is going to be a very packed month for Baltimore sports content. We're going to be going over every single Ravens game every week and also every single Orioles game every day, plus the little in-between stuff that I want to talk about throughout the week leading up to Ravens games. So there's a ton of stuff that's going to be happening on this show. And once football officially comes back, like when the season actually officially starts, it's going to get wild. It's going to absolutely get wild, and you're going to want to make sure to tune in to every episode of Birds of a Feather because it's going to be wild. We're going to have some special stuff going on, so make sure to tune in. But without further ado, let's just go over this Ravens preseason game. So going over the Ravens preseason game, the Ravens win this game 24-16 over the Indianapolis Colts. And again, this is the first little taste of Ravens football that we've had since last year. So again, it was really cool to see everybody suit up. It was cool to see the Ravens play in M&T Bank Stadium. And it was cool to see everyone dress up in their Ravens uniform. It was an absolute vibe out there in Baltimore. You could just tell the crowd is really into it. And just engaged throughout the entire game, even though it was just a preseason game. It was cool to see a lot of people turn out and show out at M&T Bank Stadium. But before we go into like the specific stuff throughout this game, I kind of just want to talk about the overall general, ups and downs. The first thing that I'm going to say is LeJohntay Wester is looking like an absolute weapon, and I think that he might have won the returning job after today's game. LeJohntay Wester in this game had a 87-yard kick return touchdown. It was absolutely electric. The bank was rocking during it. But an 87-yard kick return touchdown that happened in the first quarter. It was the Ravens' second touchdown of the game. It was electric. It was an absolutely electric play. He was someone who was the kick returner at Colorado Colorado with Shedeur Sanders, obviously a quarterback over there. He was also a receiver for Shedeur Sanders, who had a pretty decent season over in Colorado. We ended up picking him up with a late draft pick in this past draft, and he is going to be somebody who I think is going to play a lot bigger of a role than we might think. Very similar to kind of like a Tylan Wallace. Again, Tylan Wallace is still on this team, but Tylan was somebody who was our kick returner and also somebody that could be like a wide receiver 3 or 4 sometimes. But this year, I don't know how much LeJohntay Wester is going to get receiving-wise. He had a pretty good receiving game. He had a very nice 30-yard over-the-shoulder grab in this game. But the main highlight of this game, and honestly the highlight of the game overall for both teams, was 100% that 87-yard kick return by LeJohntay Wester. It was an electric moment, and he's looking to be a weapon, especially in special teams. And I think he's somebody that is going to be returning a lot of kicks for the Ravens this year, which is going to be a lot of fun to watch. Somebody who has electric speed, great vision. He saw the holes very well in front of him, and he brought it to the house, 87 yards. So shout out to LeJohntay Wester. We're going to go over him a little bit more in a second. The next thing I want to say is Keaton Mitchell is back. Keaton Mitchell is back and better than ever. Obviously, 2 years ago was his rookie season where he looked so fast and so electric and so much fun to watch, and then he had that knee injury that kept him out of a majority of last season. He ended up coming back late last year, and he was solid. He didn't really have a role because Derrick Henry was dominating throughout the year, but in the little time that we saw Keaton Mitchell, he did okay. But throughout Ravens training camp, what a lot of people have been saying that have been around training camp, a lot of reporters, a lot of analysts and stuff like that, they have been saying that Keaton Mitchell might just be the single best player in all of training camp with the Ravens, a guy who's working very, very, very hard to be a very big part of this offense. Again, this Ravens team has Derrick Henry, so running-wise, and Lamar Jackson as well, like running-wise, these guys are booked. But that does not mean that a backup running back still cannot make an impact on like screen plays or even run plays here and there. Keaton Mitchell has worked his ass off in training camp from what I've heard. I've also heard that he's been the single best player in training camp this season. He's been electric. Back in the stadium practice, he had some very big breakout runs back in the stadium practice that happened a few days ago. But in this preseason game against the Colts, Keaton Mitchell went out there, 9 carries, 68 yards, and a touchdown, averaged 7.5 yards per carry. He had a 23-yard run. He went out there and did his thing. He looked electric in this game. So Keaton Mitchell is back, guys. The speed looks just like it did 2 years ago, even with the knee injury. So he looks good to go. Another thing that I want to say is about a rookie one of the rookies I was most excited to see today, and that was Mike Green. And Mike Green went out there, and he didn't record like an official stat in this game. He did have 2 total tackles and a solo tackle, so he didn't get a sack or anything. But it's one of those things that doesn't really show up on the stat sheet. If you watch this game, you would know Mike Green was creating hella pressure in this game. He didn't necessarily get to the quarterback every single time, but he created a lot of pressure on Anthony Richardson when he was out there, and especially a lot of pressure on Daniel Jones and Riley Leonard. He was getting to the quarterback. He couldn't necessarily, close it and finish the job because they would either get the ball out or someone else would get the sack. But Mike Green was getting a lot of pressure. He was getting past a lot of O-linemen. On the edge, he looked incredible. His edge work looked incredible. And Mike Green was showing flashes of greatness in this preseason game. We're still going to see him for another 2 preseason games, which is going to be fun. But Mike Green showed a lot of potential in this game and really showed everything that I needed to see. Obviously, it would have been really cool to see him go out there and get like a 2-sack game or something like that. But for him to get that pressure, and you add that with guys in the starting lineup like Nnamdi Madubuike and Roquan Smith if he rushes the quarterback, and Kyle Van Noy and Odafe Owe and guys like that, he's just going to make those guys' jobs easier, and they're going to make his job easier as well. It's going to be a deadly D-line for the Ravens this year. If there really was any crazy hole, it would be that. Like, they don't really have like the super-duper star D linemen like a Myles Garrett or a Micah Parsons or a Trey Hendrickson or something like that. But Mike Green looks like somebody who can be an absolute dog for this Ravens team moving forward throughout the future. He's young. He's only 22 years old. He was an absolute steal in this draft by the Ravens. Talent-wise, he was one of the best talents in this draft, like a top 15 talent in this entire draft. But he looked incredible out there today. Again, didn't record a sack, but he did create a lot of pressure in this game, which was very nice to see from him. Another thing that I want to say is I'm very grateful and I'm very happy that we don't really have any sort of QB competition going on in Baltimore, because Devin Leary and Cooper Rush did not look good at all in this game. Quarterback play-wise, this was absolutely horrendous. Devin Leary in this game, who played a majority of the game. Well, Cooper Rush started the game as the QB2. He went out there, went 2 for 4 with an interception and had 16 yards on 4 pass attempts. A horrible game by Cooper Rush. His first pass in a Ravens uniform was an interception, so that just kind of started off the vibe. And then Devin Leary, who came in, I think it was in the second quarter, he came in, and he went 3 for 12 with 43 yards and an interception. So 3 for 12, 43 yards, a pick. Got sacked as well, a 7.3 quarterback rating, and Cooper Rush had a 20.8 quarterback rating. So very, very, very bad quarterback play by the Ravens today. Very abysmal play by QB2 and QB3. I don't know if the Ravens are going to do anything about Devin Leary, because he just does not look good at all. I don't know if we're going to try and maybe get a veteran guy. I saw some Ravens fans on Twitter that were saying maybe go get Carson Wentz as a veteran guy. I don't know. But this backup QB situation is not going to work. And obviously, you hope and pray that you don't have to ever be in a position where a backup quarterback has to come out. But at the same time, you never know. You never know if Lamar Jackson might get hurt for a week and has to not play. You never know if Lamar Jackson might be out for a quarter and can't play. Having a good backup quarterback is very important, because at the end of the day, you just don't know what's going to happen. And having a backup quarterback in a must-win scenario could be, make or break your season by the end of it. And I know Lamar Jackson is Lamar Jackson, but having a good backup quarterback has been very important. Before, for a majority, obviously we had Tyler Huntley as our backup, who was an incredible backup quarterback for the Ravens. He fit the scheme very well, and it worked out very well in general. But overall, the quarterback play was horrible in today's game. Another thing that I want to say is that, again, the Ravens need a backup quarterback very, very badly. But Daniel Falele and Devin Leary might need to pack their bags, because, again, with what preseason does for a lot of NFL GMs when they watch their teams do preseason, it's kind of like because again, only 53 people make an NFL roster going into the season, and especially with a team like the Ravens, there is really not a lot of spots to fill because of how talented and star-heavy this Ravens team is, and how deep it is, how star-heavy it is. This Ravens team, as it is starting-wise, is incredible. But you still got to go out there and get some guys who are going to play a little bit and get backups or whatever. So the Ravens have a lot of decisions to make after today. And throughout all the preseason, they're going to give these guys chances to prove themselves. But I think the Ravens front office and Eric DeCosta and those guys have a lot of decisions to make on who they want to keep on this Ravens team. And they have some easy decisions. Someone like Daniel Falele, who just played horrible today against the Colts backup defense. And again, it's one of those things where you just cannot go out there and look like that, because again, the Colts defense is fine, but Daniel Falele got run over a lot in this game. He looked horrible. Devin Leary also played horrible. So again, the Ravens front office is going to have decisions to make after the preseason, who to cut, who to keep, and I always trust Eric DeCosta with those decisions. But overall in this game, we went over the QBs, we went over the passing, but going over the rushing in general in this game. Keaton Mitchell, 9 carries, 68 yards, and a touchdown. He had a 23-yard carry as well. Dearness Johnson, who the Ravens signed just a week ago, ended up getting 18 carries in this game for 57 yards, 3.2 yards per carry, not anything crazy. Rasheen Ali actually had a pretty solid game. He had a nice little 20-yard breakout run, and he also had a good kick return as well. He had 9 carries for 37 yards. and a 19-yard run as well. So shout out to Rasheen Ali for showing a lot of potential in this game as well. He is really like the running back 4 for this Ravens team, so we're not going to see him at all in the regular season, but it was nice to see him go out there and do well. And then Devin Leary had 15 yards on the ground, but, it's Devin Leary. He didn't play good at all. But the Ravens still ended up winning this game because the defense played well, and also the special teams played very well in this game as well. But going over the receiving, if you look at the receiving, it is very dead and empty. The Ravens passing in general only completed 5 of 16 attempts. 5 for 16 overall, with 49 total passing yards in this game compared to 177 rushing yards. And at the end of the day, that is classic Ravens as we know in terms of rushing dominance. But LeJohntay Wester went out there today. He literally did it all for Ravens passing or for Ravens receiving. It's actually kind of funny to see this stat. LeJohntay Wester had 2 catches for 41 yards and a 30-yard catch as well, which is really cool to see. Nobody else on the team besides LeJohntay Wester had more than 10 yards. Tylan Wallace had 9, Charlie Kolar had 7, Dearness Johnson had 2, and then that was it. Only 5 total completions in this game, and it was 5 completions across 4 players: Dearness Johnson, Charlie Kolar, Tylan Wallace, and LeJohntay Wester. And Johnson, Kolar, and Wallace all got 1 catch, and LeJohntay Wester had 2. So regarding the passing, there was literally nothing to talk about other than that nice 30-yard catch by Wester. The rushing obviously dominated, 177 total yards on the ground, 4.2 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns, 42 attempts. This is the Ravens that we know and love very, very much in terms of offense. But going over to the defense, Bo Braid had a nice game with 7 total tackles. He was the tackle leader in this game. He also had a good pass deflection. TJ Tampa had a couple pass deflections. He also had a decently solid game. But it was cool to see a lot of the young guys go out there and do a lot of the heavy work. The touchdowns in this game that were scored was from the LeJohntay Wester kick return touchdown, the Keaton Mitchell touchdown, and the Rasheen Ali touchdown. And then the other 3 points were from our boy Tyler Loop, who actually did miss a field goal in this game. He went 1 for 2. He had a 52-yarder, and he missed a 45-yarder. So he missed his first field goal attempt barely. It wasn't a concerning miss. It's not like it went wide right or wide left. It was a literally a barely missed field goal by Tyler Loop on his first attempt. It was a 45-yarder, but then he made up for it and made a 52-yarder right down the middle. So shout out to Tyler Loop for looking great in this game. Not great, obviously he did miss a kick, but for doing his thing, made all of his extra points. And also made a 52-yarder right down the middle. So shout out to Tyler Loop. And another thing that Ravens fans are doing at M&T Bank Stadium is every single time Tyler Loop makes a kick, everyone goes Loop. So that's something that Ravens fans are going to be doing. So that's really cool to see that someone who is a rookie is getting that sort of treatment. So that's always really nice to see. But overall, this Ravens game was very fun to watch. It is preseason, so again, we're not going to the stakes aren't necessarily high at all, but it is still cool to see the Ravens go out there and get a win. Again, there's no standing implications to talk about. The passing was horrible, the quarterback play was horrible, but the rushing game was amazing, the defense overall was amazing, and the Ravens did enough to go out there and get a scrappy, physical, nice 24-16 win. Shout out to Mike Green, shout out heavily to the LeJohntay Wester, Keaton Mitchell, Rasheen Ali, TJ Tampa had a solid game as well, and then the Ravens also had an interception in this game as well, and it was for Jay Higgins who got the interception in this game. So that was really cool to see, but overall a very fun game for the Ravens to start off. Again, a nice 87-yard kick return touchdown. Just overall a fun game for the Ravens. And a nice way to kick off the preseason with a win. The next preseason game I think is going to be next week against the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, the 16th of August against the Dallas Cowboys in AT&T Bank Stadium. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be going over that game next week as well, and then we're also going to be talking about any sort of training camp stuff throughout this week, any sort of roster updates, any sort of Ravens updates going on throughout this week as well that we're going to talk about. So make sure to tune into that. But yeah, it was really fun to go over the Ravens game. It was a really nice start to training camp, get it going out there and getting a nice win. So that was obviously very, very cool to see. Some very incredible plays. But something that did happen in this game, which really sucked, is Bilal Cohn, who was a 5th-round pick by the Ravens this year, somebody who was a corner that we picked later in the draft. He did tear his ACL and his MCL in this game and had to get carted off. His leg just twisted a very bad way. His knee got super messed up, and he's going to be out his entire rookie year, which is unfortunate. It sucks, and prayers up to Bilal that he gets through this and that he'll be good to go for next season. It always sucks to see a rookie, especially a rookie, get hurt like that in preseason. But just prayers for Bilal Cohn. Hopefully he'll be good to go for next season, and hopefully he'll recover as fast as possible. But again, overall, the Ravens win this game. Very, very solid game by the Ravens. Offense did its thing. Some flashy plays by guys like Mike Green and LeJontay Wester. And Malachi Starks in this game as well. I didn't even go over him. He didn't play really at all because, again, he is going to be playing a very big role for the Ravens this year. And we didn't really play any of our starters, so we weren't going to play him for a while. But Malachi Starks, in what we saw, had a very, very nice tackle on Tyler Warren in this game, so that was really cool to see. But overall, the Ravens get a nice win. We move on to next week in preseason, and we move closer and closer to the start of the regular season in Buffalo for the Ravens. And yeah, it's a good time to be a Ravens fan. But thank you guys so much for tuning into and listening to this episode of Birds of a Feather. If you like this content, make sure to subscribe on YouTube, follow up on Spotify, make sure to like the video on YouTube as well. Make sure to also follow the Twitter and the Instagram for updates on everything on there as well, and also just live reactions to things going on in the Baltimore sports world. Yeah, it was a very nice, fun little Ravens preseason game. Again, there's going to be another game next week that we're going to talk about. And Ravens football is officially back, ladies and gentlemen. Even though it is preseason, it is still an organized Ravens football game that we should be blessed to have and very happy to have been able to watch. Some very fun plays happened, lots of positives from guys like Mike Green, LeJontay Wester, and we move forward into the preseason, and then we move forward, obviously, into the regular season. I'll be back tomorrow with an episode going over anything Ravens related that happens, obviously, but also mainly probably going over the Orioles and A's game 1 of this weekend series. The Orioles had off today, but obviously there was a Ravens game, so we did have something very important to talk about. But we will be back tomorrow. I'll see you guys later. Y'all have a great Steelers day. Go O's, go Ravens, and I'll see y'all later. Peace out.